Mom life is tough, and in the year of 2023, we have some new elements that I don't think any of us could have ever imagined back when we were little girls playing with our dollies, playing house, watching our own moms lead our families as our example. Tune in now and see how we can work to embrace this parenting journey with more confidence by leaning into the power of faith. Today we have a fun co-host joining me. We are bringing back my bonus daughter for her perspective, but also because we are going to be doing a little bit of celebrating at the end of today's episode regarding a huge step that she took in her faith journey today. Hi, I'm Jenna Dix, and I'm always rambling. Just ask my husband. I have a great family and a pretty cool life, but I'm a recovered alcoholic. That's hard to say, but my goal is to inspire and educate to help others hopefully find life beyond an addiction. I'm all things: sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Getting healthy, momming, and politics. Get offended easily? You better stop listening. There is no point in wasting that Botox by stressing yourself out listening to a podcast. Welcome to Ramblings of an Addict with Jenna Dix. Today's episode brought to you by products and services that I'm thoroughly addicted to. Hey there, fellow beauty enthusiasts. Are you tired of spending hours at the med spa for your fillers and your tox injections? Well, I have fantastic news for you. Introducing Alexandra Murphy, the incredible concierge med spa specialist with Clique. She brings the spa experience right to your doorstep. With Alexandra, you can enjoy the convenience of getting your treatments in the comfort of your own home. Imagine sitting at your kitchen table, sipping on your coffee, while Alexandra is working her magic to enhance your natural beauty. As a healthcare provider, Alexandra is not only trained to give you the perfect fillers and tox injections, but she's also an expert in counseling and guiding you through the process. No more appointments, no more waiting rooms, just luxury and convenience all in one package. In addition to providing exceptional spa services, she also offers on-site services for home parties and collaborations with boutiques and booths for convenient location-based experiences. Say goodbye to the hassle and say hello to the ultimate pampering experience. Alexandra Murphy will bring the latest techniques and top-of-the-line products to ensure you get the best results every time. Are you ready to look and feel incredible without ever leaving your home? The pokes are not necessarily fun, but they sure are worth it. Trust me, I have been a customer of Alexandra's for over 2 years, and I love her work. Contact Alexandra today with the details in the show notes. Hey, welcome to today's episode. Today we are going to be talking about how to find a little bit more confidence, even if it's like 1% more, right? I mean, that's still a boost in your parenting by incorporating faith. So today's episode, like I said in the introduction, is going to be a fun one because I have a cool co-host sitting next to me. We actually have my bonus daughter, Hayley, joining for the second time. The last episode she popped onto, I won't even lie, was one of my top downloaded episodes. The different feedback we got regarding that episode was amazing. People loved to hear her perspective. And I think at the same time, too, they were definitely proud of and encouraging a young woman because, hey, that's cool. She was on here. She was talking about faith. She was talking about politics and her beliefs. And it was just really cool to get a perspective from a younger teen. So today we have her popping back in. So first off, thanks, Hales, for popping in here with me.
Of course.
But today, talking, like I said, about parenting and how to blend our faith into it. Because from what I'm seeing, it definitely does help give us a little bit more grounding, a little bit more confidence on this parenting journey. Because parenting is hard, period. No, and like if, ands, or buts about that piece of it.
And if you can give yourself a little boost, a little leg up in this journey, and it comes through faith, living in Jesus, we need to do what we got to do. Obviously, being on this faith journey is far bigger picture than just being able to parent with more confidence, but it is definitely a nice little side perk. The cool thing also, in addition to at the end of the episode, we have a really fun thing to celebrate, but having Hayley with me here today is going to be kind of a fun, cool thing, not only for me to hear it, but I think for the listeners too, because for those of you who have been following me for a while or know me personally, I have been someone who's believed in God my entire life, but being a hardcore true believer, somebody who tries to live my path that's been laid out for me by God as closely as I possibly can. My husband, same deal, was raised believing in God his entire life, but not always on that correct path either, and now trying right along with me to live as closely to his path as he possibly can. Hayley has been on this journey with Mike, for 15 years, and now with me for 8 years. So she has had some moments, definitely with parents that were not true hardcore believers, and now having parents who have kind of swung on the pendulum a little bit. So it's going to be fun to hear her perspective of maybe how things have shifted, or maybe they're just some differences, maybe not. Maybe there's some things she's like, oh, I didn't really notice anything change regarding that. So it's going to be fun. Make sure to rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you're listening, and make sure if you have yet to subscribe, you do that as well, because it's going to make your life a heck of a lot easier, because it'll automatically download any new episodes that I put out, so you don't even have to think about it. All right, with that, we're going to jump right in. I want to kick things off a little bit by reminding all of us, kind of step one, that we need to try to focus on as parents is to try to be as mindful and present with our kids as we can. And this is coming from a mom who I have a mind that is spinning in a million different directions at any one moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hayley was just giving me crap about how many tabs I keep open on my computer at a time. She's counting. And this is
11?
That's just
12.
One. I was going to say I have more minimized. So I probably have
You have different windows open?
Yeah. So I probably have 20. And that's how my brain works, right? A million different tabs open all at one time. So trying to remain present isn't always super easy. And to be honest, this is something I worked with my counselor on a lot. And she used to explain it to me like, you're essentially going to have to train a circus monkey to stay inside a hula hoop. And that darn little monkey is going to try to run out of that hula hoop every 2 seconds, and you're going to have to politely go grab his hand and bring him back to the hula hoop. Okay. We weren't talking about a monkey, right? She was talking about my brain and bringing it back to the moment and enjoying the moment you are truly in. And in our society, I think that's hard for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree.
You struggle with that?
Yeah.
I don't think technology helps us.
No. Well, think about it. You're scrolling. I think Grant talked to me about this. You're scrolling, so your brain can only has an attention span for so much. So I'm sure,
for sure.
Your brain just
What's
keeps
next?
going. Yeah.
What's next? Yep. Exactly. So, but as a parent, we need to make sure we're present because we want to enjoy life with our kids. We don't want to miss the moments. We also don't want to miss cues, which I'll get into in a moment. But so I actually saw something on Instagram today. I actually shared it. And then when I was talking about how I thought it was so cool, Hayley's like, oh yeah, that's all over TikTok right now. I'm like, oh, okay, I may be behind the boat a little bit on this one, but I still think it's really cool. So our kids get one childhood. And as their parents, we only get to enjoy one childhood with them. So this post that I shared, and apparently Hayley's seen on TikTok a million times, we only get, the opportunity to be Tooth Fairy 20 times with our child. We only get to be Santa Claus for them 12 times. And that's if we're lucky. That's if somebody at school doesn't like rat us out or they don't find the Santa Claus presents hidden.
Well, then, like, when you're, like, 1, you don't remember that.
Yeah, Mac had no idea what was going on. We even had a Santa Claus come, and she didn't even...
She didn't care.
No, she didn't care at all. You get 13 first days of school. And last days. Yeah. You only get 1 graduation with them. You're only gonna, fingers crossed, get 1 wedding, right?
Well, you get 2 graduations if you go to college.
Very true. I got 2 graduations, I guess. Very true. Good. Okay. But nonetheless, you're not going to get a plethora of all these opportunities. So if you F up one, no worries. I got a million others, right? Not always. And I'm going to add too. With this, you also need to be cautious not to over add pressure because I can be like that. I want it to be so perfect. I want it to be so over the top. And then when it doesn't go that way, I'm so let down. Whether I'm let down in myself or I'm let down in other people. But just making sure that you're trying to truly experience it, like submerge yourself, have those feels, right? I think also being cautious not to over lean into your phone, into your camera, right? Mm-hmm. Experience it with your eyes. Not through your lens. Oh, yeah. In both of us, we're immediately thinking of people, I'm sure. But, like, even today, so we'll get there, right? Hayley had a big deal today. And I wanted it videotaped because, number one, I wanted her to be able to see it. I wanted my husband to be able to see it from a different perspective because where he was standing, he could see, but he was also kind of behind some people and he didn't have the greatest view. He could definitely see, but like not from the front, right? Mm-hmm. So I was videoing it and I made sure like I was just glancing down every few seconds to ensure I didn't like shake too much and didn't lose her, but like trying to watch it like eye to thing.
Not watching it through your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't eye to thing. I don't know. Is that a thing? Sightline? Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And then the last piece, so being present as well. So it's going to foster, if you are being present, you're noticing what's going on, you're catching those cues, you're catching those opportunities, you might be able to have a hell of a conversation with your kid because you catch that moment. Or you're just going to be able to connect with them on a different level because you're truly there. You're not living like, yeah, my body is here. My kid thinks I'm here, but truly I'm on Facebook and I'm text messaging my girlfriend and I'm worried about my email that just came through. And no, if you're truly there, you're going to catch things.
Yeah.
And I think our house, we've all been guilty of not doing this. I think everyone has,
Mac sometimes.
Oh, totally, even Mac.
Like today.
Oh, yeah. Walking through with her phone, people talking to her. She had no idea.
Putting her phone closer to her ear.
Yeah, people talking to her, and she puts her phone up to her ear as they're hugging her. Yeah. But I think we also, because we try to be good at this, and we've called each other out. Like, you all, I've called you out plenty. We've called Dad out. You've called me out. I remember you being like, you will be talking and pick up your phone and start texting and cut yourself off to text. So,
you've gotten better at that.
I got yelled at the other day.
Oh.
But I have gotten better. Yeah, it wasn't you. But I have gotten better. But, yeah, I don't know. I think that we've definitely caught more. Like with Hale, and last episode we did talk about a little bit that you were struggling a little bit. And Dad and I caught that, what was it, almost 2 years ago now, right? Year and a half ago? Oh, no, it was more than that.
It's probably been like 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe even 2.5. It was mainly when COVID started, I think.
Yeah, when we were in the garage after we went to Bath and Body Works.
Was that where we were?
Yeah. Yeah, we were in the garage, me and you. And if we weren't present, we wouldn't be able to catch these tiny little things because Hayley is a quiet kid. she keeps things to herself a lot. And it's not like she's like going to act out and she's quiet all the time. So we really do have to stay in tune. Like there's moments that I'm like, and Dad does notice, but I think I notice more of the girly things, right? So I'll be like, hey, Hales did XYZ. And he's like, oh, that's kind of weird. I'm like, yeah. I didn't even notice that. I'm like, mm-hmm. He's like, all right, we need to talk to her. Like, so we do catch things. Mm-hmm. But I think, I don't know, maybe we would catch more if we weren't in our phones as much as we are. But I think trying to have that more present conversation has helped. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let me step off my mom's soapbox because let me tell you, first off, I'm far from a perfect mom. So it's not that I'm up here like lecturing at all of you because I suck just like all of you at my moments, right? But
I don't think suck is the great word to use.
Well, for the most part, I mean, we're all far from perfect, but
you're trying. This
is one that I try really hard on. I try to grab that darn little circus monkey and pull him backwards. Okay. Number 2. Oh.
And you're not going to be perfect.
No.
Just say that.
No.
This is, I don't know, I just feel like using the word suck for
I appreciate
parenting purposes. I mean, like you said, it's your first time being a parent.
Yeah.
You're still learning. I've seen that on TikTok, too.
Saw that on TikTok, too.
You're still learning, so...
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, as long as you're trying, I think that's...
Exactly. Yep, that's a good lesson for you, too. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, jumping into the next piece that we kind of wanted to cover. So, as parents, we're all going to run into those times of complete frustration, feeling so uncertain about how we are parenting, having those moments where I feel like, oh my goodness, I suck, right? Worst mom ever. These kids are going to be in counseling for the rest of their lives. But finding peace in faith, that has been, these last couple years, my saving grace. Like, oh Jesus, please come in and help. I need you. And we are blessed. I mean, we're pretty good girls. I'm not gonna lie. There's moments with Mac that I'm a little more worried, but it's just that they're different, right? But there are still moments that the girls don't behave exactly as we'd hoped they would, just like every other child out there. Like even kids I used to nanny, there'd be things that I'm like, oh my goodness, why are you doing that? What are you thinking, right? Just like there's things that I do even that I'm like, oh my goodness, why did I do that? But with the girls, when it's like, we want them to do something, just like your kids, you want them to do something so badly, or you want them to behave a certain way, and you're just like, what is going on? Why are they not doing this? Like, McKenna, to be completely honest, she is like the strongest willed kid I've ever met. So there's things she'll do, and I'm like, I don't even know. Like, for example, one thing that she does that some people would think, oh my goodness, that's so incredibly naughty. And then other people are like, oh, let kids be kids. Like, the moment when she gets let out of a classroom at church, that kid goes bananas.
Track star.
She sprints from one end of that church to the other. And back and forth and back and forth. And there's so many moments I'm like, I know so many people are probably judging, or I just pray she never runs into one of our older people from church and knocks them over, or runs into a little kid, she's just goes bananas. And we talked about it, I'm not kidding, every week. Mm-hmm. Every week. Like, mm-hmm. You've heard us in the car. Every week.
Yeah.
And it's like, she gets let out of the classroom, and everything we've talked about a million times is out of her brain, and it's like the horse at the race, the gate was lifted, and off she goes. So, that's like one of our examples with her. Another example that we have struggled with Hayley at points is like, Hayley is freaking smart. Like, she is an intelligent kid. She knows that. Compliment for sure. compliment for sure. But everybody coughs. You're fine.
I know.
But Hayley will have moments where we're like, hey, dude, how come we have multiple missing assignments just not turned in? And we know you could have very easily done them. She just hits these moments where she's just not going to do the work. And it has been that way since I came into your life. I remember fourth grade, before we moved in here, or was it? Yeah.
I thought it was 6th grade when that started happening, like middle school.
It was elementary.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. When we were living at my parents' while we were waiting for this house to be done so we could move in here.
Oh, the book?
Yeah. The night before the last night of school, this kid, so it would have been 5th grade.
Well, no, I think I had like... Keep going.
Whatever. It was 4th or 5th grade. But she's up until... What time was it? 1 a.m?
Probably.
Yeah. Reading this book that she had been assigned a while before, obviously, and still had to write a report on. And she's up reading it. I remember my mom coming down and, like, being so upset with me. Like, you are seriously making that little girl stay up and finish that book? I'm like, yeah, she is. Like, that book report is due. Tomorrow's the last day of school. She needs to get it done. And it's just gone from there.
So I didn't remember that. Yeah. I do, but I didn't.
Yeah, I remember driving you to school the next morning and you're writing the book report in the car.
No, was that the one where I didn't actually read it, so you made me read the whole thing?
Oh, maybe that was it.
I was trying to do the book report because it was like a who was or like.
Oh, yeah, that was it. And we busted you out that you didn't actually read the book.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. But either way, you didn't read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is something we still continue to struggle with. And we're just continuing to work on. And we pray on, right? Which I'll get to in a second. But we're all going to have those moments where we're, like, completely challenged with our kid. Like, what are you doing? Right? Like, you're just, like, ready to pull your hair out. But I think... One, we need to try to always remember. We need to try to WWJD it, right? Go back to those bracelets from, I don't know, 1995, 2000, I don't know.
Sure.
Whatever, a long time ago. You gotta WWJD it because our kids do 1000% learn from our responses. Mm. You have learned from your father. The other one definitely follows my feet. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because typically as parents, when we're upset, when we're challenged, our ugly side is going to come out, or our not so great strengths. For mine, for example, like when I'm frustrated, I am more on the aggressive side.
And me and my dad are the opposite.
1000%. You shut down. Right?
Yeah.
But at least for me, like, I know I don't want the girls. I would rather they not be like find the middle ground. But I also want to help the girls know how to correctly manage their emotions when they are frustrated, when they are upset. Because being able to regulate their emotions is going to be a very powerful skill for life, right? So I think the best way that I'm trying, when I'm faced with a challenge is, okay, WWJD, what would Jesus do right now? Because I'm sure handle it probably not even like I choose at all, right? But at least I'm trying to live like he would, trying to love like he would. He still, there's going to be moments where he would teach or he would say, hey, what you're doing is sin or what you're doing is wrong. But he would still say it in a way where he didn't bite your head off, but he taught. And that is ultimately, as parents, what we need to remember to try to do as much as we can. In addition, so when we are, at as parents having things that we are continually frustrated with or running into challenges, I definitely encourage, I mean, maybe this is the coaching side, but I'm also just somebody who really is into personal development and have been for years and years. So make sure you're educating yourself too. So make your skill set deeper for when challenges do arrive, you know what to do. Like, so for example, when Hayley was 12, I think, I read a book about parenting teen girls. When we had Mac and we were starting to figure out what her temperament was, I've read multiple books now on spirited or strong-willed children. Because you just need to know some things that you wouldn't know if you didn't educate yourself. You may learn through trial and correction. You may learn from what you hear from other moms. But I'm of the mindset, why would you not kind of fast track yourself a little bit? Why would you not gear yourself up with some tools so that you are at the ready? Okay? So podcasts, books, seminars, things of that sort, they are out there. Don't hold yourself back. Like, educate yourself on these things because parenting is hard. Another one was, you know, I already said it, WWJD, but at the same time, you want to incorporate him into how you're interacting with the kids, but you also want to incorporate him into, okay, Jesus, what do I need to do? Like, in your private prayer, in your private time with him, talking to him and being like, please guide me in a way that you want me to lead these children. You know, God gifted me these babies before his purpose, for his path for them. Can you help equip me so that I am leading them towards that path? You know, he's going to help equip you with the right skills, with the right guidance, with the right strengths, so that you have a little bit more confidence helping those kids head in the right direction. It's also really important to kind of blend all that together. So you're praying with Jesus in your private time. You're thinking about, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Like, Jesus, come into me, right? Take the wheel at this moment. But in addition, making sure that you're bringing him into those struggles, even with the kids. Like, we haven't really had to do this with Hayley. And granted, we didn't, we weren't on this path when you were younger. But like with Mac, and you can attest, I mean, there's moments with her that we all kind of just look at each other, like 2 weeks ago when she had that really off-the-wall evening, right? Yeah. There were moments we looked at each other and we were all like, oh my goodness. And there's times I will grab her little hands and like pray with her. Mm-hmm. And there's been, some prayers even that my spiritual mentor has given me to like pray with her. And, I was talking to my mentor too about like, there's times that like she straight up lies. I'm like, and she's 3 and she's really good at it. And that's kind of terrifying. And she, she's taught me how to teach Mac how to pray to Jesus and apologize. And so not only incorporating him into my private life and into my parenting, but incorporating him into the parenting relationship with the kids as well. So, I don't think we've ever really done that with you. I mean, we've obviously, but never with like, in like a heated moment or in like...
No.
Because we really don't have a ton of heated moments.
Say, like, we haven't really had to.
No.
I guess.
Okay. So the third thing I wanted to talk about was making sure that you are, as you're remembering, okay, yes, I'm incorporating this faith into my parenting, remembering that it's because you are trying to build a solid foundation for your kiddos, giving them some solid values, some solid beliefs heading into this world. And Hayley can attest to this. I mean, she is younger, right? The world is swirling for all of us. And many adults are at a point even where they're like, thank goodness I do have Jesus because he is my anchor right now. He is helping me find my center. He's helping me find some sort of grounding. Mm-hmm. And back when the riots happened in Minneapolis, I remember looking at you and being like, this is my political story, but when you looked at me and were like, what are we going to do as Minneapolis is burning, and I'm like, I don't know. Pray to God. Like, and truthfully, yeah, 1,000%. But I think it's just going to be so important for our kids to have this more than ever, because they're going to need a solid anchor as we're heading into the times. Because, these last 5 years have been complete chaos. And if we continue with this trajectory forward, like, our kids need this. There's no doubt about it. And in addition to that, I also feel like making sure that they know if they are living a life of faith, they do live with Jesus, they are never alone. They always have that backing. So even if mom and dad aren't there, they have Jesus.
Yeah.
And like with you, with your struggles recently, like trying to remind you of that, right? So like every once in a while, I'll send you like a random blurb, and I'm sure most kids would probably be like, well, that's weird. But like just to kind of give her that little nudge of like, he's there. Like, remember this. I'll send you a passage or a kind word or whatever,
No, that actually is very helpful. Because especially to, like, even sometimes, like, I could be feeling something in that moment, and that,
right?
That, like, hits exactly what I'm feeling.
Those are God winks.
100%.
100%, those are God winks right there. And in addition to having, giving your kid that grounding, giving them something to hold on to as this world is swirling, it also, fingers crossed, is going to give us as parents more peace in our own hearts, because we feel like, hey, I know this kid has some solid values. I know they believe in Jesus and they follow Jesus. And they're going to, they'll be kids, 1,000%. They're still going to do stuff that you're like, what in the world are you doing? But the hope is that they're going to do things that they're going to have a different level of character. While they're making their decisions, they'll have a little bit more feeling of, ooh, WWJD, right?
Yeah.
I was just telling Hayley that, like, these last 6 months, as she's really been working hard within her own faith journey, things have shifted on my end of, I'm not as worried about her. I'm still very worried about her, but I'm not as worried that she's going to make a decision, honestly, that I would have made at her age. Because I didn't have that moral value. Like, I didn't have that same grounding that she has. And it just kind of helps up-level your confidence in letting your kid have a little bit more independence. I think as you're building that foundation for them, it's going to be really key to really involve them in the different spiritual practices you and your family do. So don't just you pray in solitude in the morning and that's all you do, and they never see it and they don't know, they don't see you read the Bible, things like that, right? Like, make sure you are praying as a family, or do Bible studies together, or talk about scripture, or if you read a really cool passage, share it with them. Talk to them about it. Like, it doesn't have to just be, oh, I'm older, I'm mom, or, if you're a dad listener, I'm a dad. Like, I don't need to tell them. Like, if you learned something cool or you read a passage that just hit you, share it. Give them that same anchor that you just found some peace in.
Or another thing, too, me and Jenna have been reading a book together. And it is more about faith, and I think that is a good option, too, because it helps in other areas, like with me reading.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it just helps all around.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, having books with a faith undertone is always a good thing, right? But it doesn't even, I think that even could tie right into that first point we talked about, right? Of being present, being in the moment. You kind of have to be present when you're reading.
Yeah.
And, well, for the most part. And we've done it now. I mean, this is the 2.5 book since we didn't finish one that we've read together. And the other ones were more on the political side of things, and that's okay. But it still gave us time to be together. So, I think along with giving them the foundation, a key too is ensuring that you're giving them some space to do it in a way that they are designing. Don't be like mommy dictator telling them, this is absolutely what you have to do.
Because they're not going to want to do it.
Right. Right. I mean, our pastor talked about that today. I mean, he was talking about laws, right? Yeah. But he was talking about essentially, like, if you give a limit or if you tell somebody don't do something, they're going to want to do it. Like, he brought up Beauty and the Beast, right? The West Wing. Or we were just talking about, actually, while we were prepping for this, we were talking about Adam and Eve. And, you know, they had the highest of high tell them, don't eat the fruit. One would hope they wouldn't eat the fruit because, wow, God himself told me, don't eat the fruit. I will never in a million, trillion, billion, cajillion years eat that fruit. And then they obviously were deceived. But when you are given a limit, you often can either A, be deceived, or B, just natural temptation. I'm a little curious, right? So you want to encourage and possibly, I don't want to use the word pressure, but possibly pressure, like show,
Slightly.
Yeah, and your hope is, and your prayer should be, as you're praying to Jesus, that they will see you, they will be learning from you, they will be encouraged and want to follow on this path anyway. And
subtly hinting at something.
Yeah, and subtly hinting at things, because we're super subtle in this house.
Well, no, but that could be if somebody is, like...
Yeah. Yeah.
Just kind of sneaking things in there to make them think that they thought that they wanted to do it, so they actually want to do it.
Completely. Yeah, like some psychology games.
Yes.
I gotcha. Okay. Your husband's in for some treats. Your future husband will warn him. This girl. I'm just kidding.
We just won't tell him about your podcast.
And I think for you, like, this is complete transparency. This for us, like for me, I'm a little worried moving forward of how to ensure that we are doing it more on the, we're not going to over push or over pressure, because Hayley kind of was on the end where as we were sliding into this and we were learning more, she was right there with us learning and, oh, I want to do this too. Cause she already had a more mature brain. She got to make those decisions with us for the most part, right? I mean, when we were on the church hunt, for example.
It was just like COVID hit and I was like, I needed something.
Yeah, like you had more input. Like you got to say things, right? Like there were some churches that we were looking at that you were like, Well,
that one that was like 3 hours long.
Right, right. So she had her input, right? McKenna, on the other hand, I mean, she was 1. She just cracked her toes. 1, I think, when we started going there. So, I mean, she doesn't really get to have that luxury that Hayley did. So I don't ever want to push her to the point where she's like, oh, my parents always made me go to church. My parents did this. My parents did that. And like revolt and the hope and the prayer. Right.
Like you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the hope and the prayers, that will not happen because she will learn from example. Jesus will, live within her. But I can't deny that is a little fear that I have. And I will continue to pray on that and, hope that Mac chooses the right path. Yeah, because even Mike and I always said we would never push Hales, ever. And we did give a little nudge. We didn't throw her off the deep end or anything, but we definitely gave her a nudge with youth group.
And I think, like, I was fine going to youth group, but it was just, like, going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, actually taking the first step in there.
Yeah. And that's
not knowing anybody. I think that was my biggest.
For sure.
Because I was fine going.
Okay, so the actual process of, this is youth group, that's exciting. It's the process of, like, this is something new. There's people. I have to interact. I have to say hello. I have to say, hi, my name is Hayley.
Yeah. And, like, not knowing, like, their groups and, like, cliques.
Yeah. It'd be like changing schools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She nods, so. Which is a fear we've talked about before and definitely not one you're super excited about.
Yeah.
I'm getting the eye. We'll move on to the next focus. Okay, so as we were talking about with Hales, so Hayley has chosen to follow this path with us. And that brings me to the last thing that I want to not only talk about, but really celebrate today. Because today, Hayley, and I'm already getting choked up. I've already been choked up today, I know. Hayley made the decision today to be baptized into Jesus' family. So at our church, and what our beliefs are, is that we do baptisms of immersion. So when you are baptized, you're completely submerged. You are leaving the old you in the water, and you are becoming one of Jesus' family, right? And that is exactly what our girl did today at her own choosing. So my first question, this is going to be more like an interview style because I'm excited to hear from her because Hales, she contemplated actually talking a little bit on stage at church. And she ultimately chose, no, thank you. I will answer the questions and do my baptism and walk off the stage. And I told her, I was like, that's totally okay. I said, at 15 years old, there's no way I would have done that. I would have not talked either because we do go to a larger church and a decent amount, I'm sure, online. And yeah, so it's a big to-do, but I'm like, I'm not going to miss this opportunity because this kid has a story and I want her to be able to share. So my first question is, what led you to decide, I want to do this? And, if there's anything in your journey of getting there that maybe sticks out in your mind that you want to share.
Well, first, obviously, our church, I feel like they have helped me grow in my faith. And, like, watching you guys get baptized, I feel like that definitely inspired me. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of kicking myself for the past, year that I didn't do it when you guys did. But, I mean, I wasn't, ready at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't feel ready. But I feel like just personal, I cannot think of words. Personal, reflection, I guess.
Yeah.
And
sitting and reflecting and thinking. Yeah. Processing.
Oh,
there we go.
Just
You did the sign for it.
Oh.
Yeah. So she's over here doing sign language.
Oh, I didn't realize. No, just being real with myself and figuring out who I am and who brought me here, I guess. That's
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think, because I'll be transparent, selfishly, it did pop in my mind. So a year ago, I got baptized. Michael got baptized. We were both baptized as babies because I think he got baptized Lutheran, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. And I was Catholic, and obviously both those churches do infant or young child baptisms, and not by immersion. And our church to become members, you need to be a believer and you need to go through the baptism process. And we also felt like this is the right step. Like, we did go through the process and we talked about it and we prayed on it, and it was definitely the right step. And the day that we did that, because we did it the same day, and the day we did that, we also had Mac dedicated, because that's how our church works. They don't do baptisms for little ones. They do dedications where the parents stand up and dedicate their child and say, I will raise them in within the Lord. And, hopefully that child then later chooses to be baptized themselves. And there was a selfish moment where I was like, dude, it would be so cool if we all did it on the same day. And it would have. It would have looked cool. But that wasn't right. That wasn't your story. And that's okay. Because you had to grow. You had to process. You had to come to youth group. You had to meet Pastor Grant. You had to make those connections where a year ago, if you'd gotten baptized, this kid just came up here with her Bible. And she's got tabs and things highlighted and circled. And I mean, she has specific scriptures called out. And a year ago, you wouldn't have had that. Mm-mm. So God did the right thing with you. He knew your path. And selfishly, we want to control our path. But that's not our job. And you did a good job because you listened to him. That's something to be proud of in itself. So my next question for you is, so in what ways are you hoping that your baptism is going to impact your daily life and how you interact with other people? And hopefully, how are you envisioning that you're going to continue living out your faith and your belief in Jesus moving forward?
I feel like, for one, it's just going to help me, truly think about what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And obviously I need to do that I needed to do that before too, but I think it truly will, like you said, what would Jesus do?
Right.
Bringing that back. I feel like...
Bringing that back. I'm going to get those cool bracelets.
I had one, remember?
Oh, yeah, you did.
And it got, dirty, though, so I can't.
Oh, well, we can look on...
I was going to say.
Yeah, online.
Softball. That's why.
Oh.
Yeah. But, yeah, anyway. Yeah, I think that's, the biggest, actually thinking about what I'm doing and how I can be even impacting others. And trying to, we were talking about before we even came in here and started to do this, trying to bring other people to Jesus and following his word.
Yeah, absolutely. That's our mission. We were we were talking about that before. And that is our job. Once we are saying, yes, I'm a believer, I know that it's best to be living in Jesus, showing other people that same joy, showing other people that same peace. So my next one, are there any dreams or goals you have for sharing your faith or utilizing it to make a positive impact on the world? And any ideas on how you would pursue that?
I think just being more vocal. I feel like we were kind of talking about this earlier too, not being that, super,
Bible banger?
Yeah, not, annoying, but,
I get you.
Over the top.
It's the same fear I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, trying to reach people and help them find their way to or back to God.
Well, I like that, or back to. Absolutely. Because some people drift. 1000%. And I think in a non-pressure way, right, that we all need to remember, and you being young too, especially, it might not have to be, it doesn't have to be a Bible banger type of thing. Like, it can be somebody watching how you live. 1,000%. Darn, wow, look at that kid go. Like, wow, she finds a lot of peace in that. She talks about how she likes her church, and then she's just so happy. Or, Hayley, had the opportunity to do this, and she said no thanks, and she was totally okay with it. It doesn't have to be so. Yeah. Like, I think of, for example, like, there's this young person that's been reaching out to me, from a Mormon church, and it has honestly crossed my mind, like, I wonder if they have quotas that they have to meet, because she sends messages and invites and all this stuff, and I'm just like, and I've been very polite, and I'm like, I don't really need that, and it just makes me think, like, we don't necessarily have to do it that way. Like, it doesn't have to be like like an MLM sales push, right? Please don't make it like that. This needs to be natural, and as you're living within the Word. Okay, so in this, based off today, but also like before, I'm just more curious. How have you personally in the last, as you've been diving into your faith journey, how have you found peace in having your life with Jesus?
A lot of scripture. Just like reading certain verses and trying to unpack them and finding like connections, and then praying, which I've been trying to get better with. I feel like that's something that I have struggled with, and I feel like it is getting better, so I think that's awesome. Always good, but yeah.
Do you know what makes me feel better sometimes? So I listen to that Bible in a Year app, every day. And obviously the people that are leading this app are very in their faith. And the gal on there constantly talks about how sometimes, and how I feel bad sometimes because when I'm praying, I fall asleep, or she forgets, or mind drifts, or like even my mentor says that she prays out loud because otherwise her mind would drift. So
I feel that 100%.
Oh yeah, exactly. So it's a process. It's a learning journey. We all have moments where we're like, oh, I totally could have prayed better, but you need to give yourself grace and be like, hey, I prayed. Right? I'm curious. So Hayley, she brought up her Bible. It is tabbed to death. So she's got her Bible. She's got her 3-minute devotion book for teen girls, which we got you a long time ago. This is, what's this one called? God's Promises for Your Every Need. And this is a book so my mentor gave me one. Hayley was looking at it, and next thing I know, she'd ordered herself one. And there's Post-its in all of these books. And you've already said you haven't read them all. How are you finding verses? Like, how do you know, this verse is cool? Like, you had a random, was it Zechariah? Or what was the one or Hebrews or something? You just opened one. How did you, are you finding, like, things online?
Oh, well, yeah, kind of.
Like, how do you know, 1 Peter 5:7 is cool?
Oh, that is fully like a social media one.
Okay, so...
Like or even this.
Okay, so you kind of are finding them in the other books, the shorter books.
There's Post-it notes all over this one.
Well, that's cool. I like that. I'm just wondering, like, curiosity. So maybe there's a parent on here listening, and they're like, well, I want to teach my kid how to find cool scriptures. And you were not an Awana attender. Like, Mac attends Awana, they practice scripture. You didn't do that, which is totally okay. But I'm curious, like, because I'm just going to the front of her book, front of her Bible, and she's got, if I can get there. Goodness.
I know, this one's wrong. I wrote down what it says at the top instead of
that's okay.
What it actually is.
Okay, so how did you know Psalm 18:2 was good?
I think that one was a social media one.
So, like, on TikTok, somebody said, something about Psalm 18 too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So,
Yeah,
what I might...
that one a lot.
Okay, awesome. So she, on social media, she finds people that talk about certain scriptures and then she flags them in her own Bible. I like that. So obviously reading through it as well.
Well, yeah, that's what like this one is.
But learning how to find certain things based off of something you see online. So using the TikTok that your bonus mom over here really despises.
Does not like.
But using it for some good. I like that. That's cool, kid. Super, super cool. Okay, sorry, we totally digressed because all of a sudden I'm like, how does this kid have this many Post-it notes? I mean, seriously, if you could see her books, you'd be like, they're so colorful because there's all these Post-its. Very colorful.
Got a lot.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Well, this one I've had for longer, too.
Absolutely. I love that.
I'll show you that later.
Okay. So, jumping back into our questions here. This is kind of my last one. So you talked about, how you find peace with it. Have you noticed any changes or challenges in your relationships or your daily life after getting to a point where you're like, I am embracing Jesus. I want to be a believer. I want to follow the path God has laid for me. Answer that first, and I'm going to kind of add on to that, but I'm curious, like, have you run into challenges or just thoughts where you're like,
Yeah.
And you can say as much or as little as you want.
Well, I mean, the big one right now is school.
Yeah.
Being at a public school that, for example, pride flags everywhere.
Yeah.
Wearing them as capes, dresses. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
So.
But you were struggling before pride, like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this month is an interesting month for sure, but.
Good thing there's only like 6 days that I have to be at school. Not even.
Yeah.
Like 4.
Well, because you came to me, so this is a side note quick, but an update from last time, because last time you were on here, we were talking about how you were dealing with some anxiety. You mentioned it was tied to school a little bit. You didn't really get into it too deep, and truth be told, she really hasn't gotten into all the nitty-gritty of it with us still. She's working with professionals, and that's her deal. She knows we're here for her. We're not going to overpressure her. But at the same time, too, you did come to me probably like a month and a half ago. Something like that.
Yeah.
And was like, I don't remember how she said it, but something to the effect of like, I don't want to be at school anymore. Or I just don't feel like Park is the best place for me.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I don't think it's the best place for me. And I was like, well, why? And she's like, well, when I'm learning one thing at church and in youth group, and then I go to school, and it's like, it so doesn't fit there.
It's like hard to continue what I'm learning at youth group or at church to school.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like having to carry that, essentially, like I've talked about with other parents, having to carry a shield that's really flipping heavy and battle it all off, but also not be a nerd and still try to fit in and... Right.
Like Satanism being brought up in a presentation.
Right.
Did I tell you about that?
Yeah, you did tell me about that.
On my phone I go.
Exactly, and that's not what it's about, right? Like, so yeah, kids talking about things that the other kids are just like, this is so against my beliefs, but those kids get the freedom to do that in those.
Yeah.
And I'm a product of the public schools myself. I've worked in the public schools in Minnesota. My heart honestly breaks a little bit for the place they are at. We never pushed Hayley. Never. Like, we tried to switch you schools at one point, but still to another public school.
I was going to say it was public.
It was still a public school. But never pushed her to, like, leave the public schools. You've heard other parents asking me, and she's been on here, Kim, homeschool supermom, making those comments multiple times.
So when are you gonna pull her out? When are you gonna switch her? when are you going to homeschool her?
Yep.
It's always an option.
It's always an option. I can help you. I can help you, yep. It's always an option. And it is. And Hayley, you know, I just don't feel it's right for me. And we tasked her with, you need to look at all your options. And you need to, you know, because she is my bonus daughter, right? So obviously there's another mom involved. Like, you need to talk to mom. You need to really think on this. You need to really pray on this. You need to talk to your counselor. You need to talk to the youth pastor. Like, we tasked her with these different things. And we're praying. If you're listening to this currently, if you listen to this right after download, we ask that you possibly add it to your prayers. But she has actually applied for PSEO, which here in Minnesota is like the going to college while you are still in high school. She applied for PSEO at a Christian school here in the cities. She is going to be attending online due to some not so cool legislation.
If it gets accepted. It will.
But we are praying, yes, that she is accepted because she just got her confirmation. They have received all of her stuff. Now we're just waiting on the acceptance letter. So please, if you have space in your prayer request, pray for Hayley and her acceptance to the PSEO program. So we will be, if that is the path, we're going to be pulling her from the public schools, putting her down as a homeschool student. So we have some figuring out of things to do this next year to ensure she still graduates. But she will be attending a Christian school online, Christian college. So very exciting. Mm-hmm. We totally digressed on that last question, but that was a fun update. I like that.
Yeah.
And she kind of just answered the last question I had because I said, how do you navigate these challenges while staying as true to your faith? And one way is ensuring you're in spaces where you can do so.
I was going to say, like, with the first part of the question, like, trying to see things that, like, people at school are doing, not even just, like, the school in general, but, like, actually looking at some of the ways that kids are acting and seeing that it's not a good way to be. And
yeah.
Trying to not be like that, which can be hard because you just want to fit in. You don't want to be the weird kid that's not.
You don't want to be the weird Christian kid?
Yeah. Which sounds so bad. Like that.
It does. But you know what? It's normalizing it. Like, I'm 36 years old and I struggle with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 1,000%. None of us, for the most part, none of us want to be like the odd man out. Mm-hmm.
But if you think about it, though, think of Jesus.
Right? He
was the odd man out.
100%.
So I think if we, for me, saying something that might not be what is normal.
Right.
I mean, it's nothing compared to what he did.
Mm-hmm. Right? He did the ultimate sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing my mentor said to me that I like is she was like, you know, when you make it to the white throne, right? When you are standing there with Jesus and he opens up the Hayley book and he says, okay, Hayley, on June 4th, 2023, I gave you this opportunity to stand for your faith. And you want to be like, and you did it. Versus the flip, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean, like, I think there's, especially because you are young, like, there's going to be moments where, like, your faith will continue to grow, I think. And honestly, like, we could talk to my mentor about this, but, like, I don't think he's going to task you with something like, here, hold this 1 million pound shield.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it truly, I think, does come down to small steps. Like, because for example, and I've brought this up before, like how my mentor every week when I'm there and the Schwann's man comes and she sits and she talks about the Bible with him and she's trying to bring Jesus into this young man's life. And he sits and he talks with her and he prays with her. And it's such a beautiful interaction. And the first few times I'm like, oh my goodness, I could never do that. Just sit and talk Jesus with a random delivery man that comes to my house. Like, how do you get to that level? And I came into this, mid-swing. They'd already had this going. He comes every other week, and they already had this relationship built. But I'm like, wait a minute, like, backtrack a little bit. How did this start? It didn't start that deep, right? Oh, when someone comes, I ask, are there any prayer requests that you would like me to add to my list? Like, it can be something small. So I totally tangented. But does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really aggressive, yeah. Yeah.
You were confirming, yes. 100%. Yeah. Okay. So first off, I don't think there's a doubt in your mind that obviously myself, your dad, over the moon with the decision that you made today. The family, this kid had 2 rows of people supporting her and loving on her today, right? And that's what it should be. And I truthfully do believe, 15 years old, she's standing up for Jesus saying, I want to be one with you. I want to be in your family. Showing people of all ages, this is the path. There's some magic here. This is the world we all need to be living in. At 15, is she going to have moments where she sins and slips up? Yeah, absolutely. We all do. But she is going to fight like hell to stay on that right track. We couldn't be more proud. I know you are incredibly proud of yourself because she was crying during worship before she even got baptized.
Well, the song, it was just oh my goodness, it's really...
Yeah, it hit.
They picked a good song.
Any final words from you, kiddo?
I don't know, you were just talking, I can't even remember what you were saying, but my brain, after getting baptized, just, the love that I felt was just, nothing ever before. I don't know.
I agree, because I went through that same experience, but I'm curious for you, was it the moment you came out of the water, or when you came out and then you're walking around church?
Well, both.
When you're walking around church? Woo, we have somebody trying to join us. So, as we have a fun little 3-year-old joining our podcast here today, I agree. 1,000%. That love is no other.
Well, just right after, even just literally coming right back up.
Yeah.
It was just,
yeah.
it just hits you. Uh-huh. And then, walking around, just congratulations, and the hugs from people I've never talked to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember, there was an older gentleman who literally, sought me out after my baptism and gave me the biggest hug. And, I had and to this day, I feel bad. I probably couldn't even pick out exactly what gentleman it was. And welcome to the family. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. So with tears in our eyes, because that's how we wrap up our podcast every time together, apparently. So this was definitely, the kick of this, talking about mom life, parenting in general. We're going to run into so many challenges. And we need to remember, we do not need to face them alone. if we add Jesus in, he's going to help us be able to navigate the twists and the turns way better than we ever could imagine doing it ourselves. But more importantly, as you've heard these last probably 25 minutes, it's also more about setting up that next generation for success, setting up our babies on the right path, building them up with this foundation of faith so that as they have to pick up their shields for the future, they have a grounding like no other. Setting them up for success. That is our job as the people. God has said, hey, take this child and lead them to the path I have designed for them. So, remember, in the chaos of this life, you can say confidently, I can do this with Jesus. My babies, they can do this with Jesus. So we want to thank you for joining us and celebrating with us a little bit here at the end, even though somehow our celebrations still wind up crying.
They're happy.
They're happy tears. But until next time, may your hearts be filled with love as you put on the armor of God.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Ramblings of an Addict with Jenna Dix. Remember, if you are battling an addiction, reach out for help and support. There are many resources available to assist in your journey towards recovery. Surround yourself with a supportive community and never give up on the path towards a healthier and happier life. I appreciate you taking the time to listen and joining me on this journey. As you heard, I'm always rambling. But seriously, thank you for your support and make sure to subscribe and follow my channel. I can't wait to share more with you on the next episode. Until then, keep on rambling. If you have found this podcast helpful and want to dive deeper into personal growth and self-improvement, be sure to head over to my website, jennadix.com. You'll find a wealth of resources there. There is a little less drugs, sex, and rock and roll these days, but whether you're interested in getting healthy, information on momming or parenting, or politics, jennadix.com has something for everyone. So, what are you waiting for? Head to jennadix.com today and start your journey towards personal growth and self-awareness. See you there.